Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most central and honestly awe-inspiring concepts in Islamic theology, ARSH, the throne of God. We're going to break down what it is and why it's so incredibly important.
So you hear this term all throughout the Quran, but what does it actually mean? Is it a literal physical object? Is it just a metaphor for God's power? Or is it something else entirely?
Well, one huge clue to its importance is just how often it's mentioned. The word Arsh shows up 19 times in the Quran. Think about that. That's not a casual reference. Scripture is clearly telling us, hey, pay attention to this.
All right, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is the throne, according to the source texts?
Okay, so right off the bat, Islamic scripture makes a really clear distinction. The throne isn't just some poetic metaphor for power. Nope, it's understood to be the highest and the greatest of all created things, a real entity that stands as the ultimate symbol of God's absolute authority over everything.
And you see verses like this one that really anchor the idea in a tangible reality. We're told that on the day of judgment, 8 mighty angels will actually bear the throne. I mean, what a powerful image, right? It just gives you this sense of unbelievable cosmic scale and divine majesty.
And look, this isn't a one-off mention. It pops up across so many different chapters, and each time it's linked directly to God's power, His acts of creation, His command, and His ultimate authority. It's a consistent theme that hammers home a central message. All power, all governance belongs to God and God alone. Now, this idea of divine authority all builds toward the throne's most dramatic role, its appearance on the day of resurrection. The scriptures paint this incredibly vivid and frankly kind of terrifying picture of that day. Just try to imagine it. The sun is brought impossibly close, the heat is overwhelming, and there's this desperate universal need for shelter. And in that moment, there's only one source of relief. And that's the absolute key right there. This shade isn't just physical relief from the heat, it's a profound spiritual honor. To be under the throne's shade means you're receiving divine protection, divine mercy. It means you're being brought close to God on the most important day in all of existence. So, of course, that leads to the big question. Who gets that protection? Who is granted this unbelievable mercy? Is it just random? Or are there specific qualities that earn you a place in that divine sanctuary?
Well, the answer is actually spelled out for us in a really famous prophetic narration that lists 7 specific kinds of people who are promised this protection.
That's right, the number is 7. A famous prophetic narration tells us there are exactly 7 types of people promised this divine shade, which basically lays out a clear path for believers to follow. And this narration isn't some obscure text. It's recorded in the most authentic collections, Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. It's not just a list, it's a blueprint for what exemplary character and devotion look like. So who are these 7?
Okay, let's break this down. You've got the just ruler, the youth who grows up worshiping God, the person whose heart is just constantly attached to the mosque, 2 people who love each other purely for God's sake, the person who resists temptation saying, I fear God, the one who gives charity so secretly that their left hand doesn't know what their right hand is doing, and finally, the person who remembers God when they're all alone and sheds a tear. You see the pattern here, right? It's this beautiful balance between your public life and your private devotion. It champions things like social justice and community, but it also elevates the purity of those hidden deeds, the sincere love, the secret charity, the private tears, acts that are totally free from wanting any praise from others.
But the majesty of the throne doesn't stop on Judgment Day. Not at all. It's also tied directly to the ultimate reward for the faithful, paradise itself.
I mean, just think about that image for a second. The very symbol of God's absolute authority serves as the ceiling for Al-Firdaus, which is the highest, most beautiful level of paradise. It's this amazing link between divine power and the ultimate home for believers. So this prophetic instruction really makes the throne the absolute pinnacle of a believer's hopes. It's described not just as being above paradise, but as the very source from which the rivers of paradise flow. It is the fountainhead of all blessings. Okay, so we've talked about its significance, but it's just as important to understand the limits of our own knowledge about it. How are we supposed to approach a concept that is this immense?
This is where we get to the core of the theological approach. It's a balance between affirmation and humility. We affirm that the throne is a real, created entity, not just a metaphor. But, and this is a huge but, God is completely independent of it. The throne is a creation, and the Creator is never, ever in need of or contained by what He has created. And that means its exact form, its size, its nature, that's all part of the unseen. Details that simply haven't been revealed to us.
So it all boils down to this one simple guiding principle: humility before the divine. Believers are meant to affirm the reality of the throne exactly as it's described, without getting lost in questions of how or what that are way beyond our human understanding.
And so, the throne of God remains this powerful symbol of divine majesty, a promise of incredible mercy, and the ultimate peak of paradise. It's a beautiful reminder that some of the greatest truths are the ones we believe in with certainty, while humbly accepting the limits of what we can know. And it really leaves you with something to ponder, doesn't it? If this is the majesty of the greatest creation, what does that tell us about the indescribable greatness of the Creator?